Hello everyone, welcome to presentation about React and Liferay. As you heard, my name is Jakub Kohout and I'm from Lundegaard, a full stack developer. Lundegaard is a Czech company that focuses on delivery of digital solutions, and some of these solutions are based on Liferay. Just a quick note about my technological background. I used to do a lot of Java development, but recently I focus more on front-end development in React. And for the last 3 years, I have participated on several projects in which we try to implement the front-end layer of the Liferay-based solutions in ReactJS library. I mean, not the whole front-end layer, but a significant portion of it, at least. On last year's DevCon, there was a presentation from my colleague on topic how React should meet Liferay and how we tackle that situation at Lundegaard. And the solution that was presented, the project that was presented, is called React Union. And there was a request from the audience to make it an open source project. And so we did it. We open sourced it in January this year, and you can find it on GitHub and NPM now. But because not everyone was here on last DevCon, I will just tell you what's the project about and how it might be helpful for front-end developers, like many of you, I suppose. The presentation will have three parts. The first, I will tell you how you can develop React applications on Liferay and how you can use the React Union. Then I will just quickly mention what's provided in the project. And at the end, we will have a really quick and simple demo application. But before I start, how many of you have heard about the React Union project? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good. I suppose that nobody, but that's a good message to us. Before we begin, before we dive in, let's define the motivation for using React on Liferay. Why are we talking about it? Why do we want to use React on Liferay? For me, the answer is quite simple. And the answer is that React is awesome. No, that's just a joke, of course. But I honestly think that React is one of the best, probably, JavaScript libraries that are available. Sorry, and because it's quite good, most of the front-end developers, at least from my experience, want to use React over any other JavaScript technology. And luckily for those developers, the customers want React too. So it's kind of a win-win situation. But apart from those two reasons, it's a modular library, which goes quite well with the Liferay modular architecture. And of course, it's pretty fast and still considered as modern technology, which might change very soon, and nobody knows when. So, do you know about any obstacles or any troubles when you want to develop React application on Liferay? Well, I would say that there are none, actually. And that's because you can create a simple application using some existing dev stack or your favorite dev stack, just bundle it, place the DOM tag somewhere in Liferay, in web content or portlet or wherever, and just deploy the JavaScript somehow. There are many ways how you can do that. And that's it. But is that really a good solution for our products that we create? Isn't there any catch? For a single application, single SPA that you have in Liferay, it might be okay. I think there is no problem at all. But consider a situation when you have multiple React applications on a single page or spread among several pages. Then I would say that you would for sure come into several issues during the development process. And one of these issues would be the loading of resources, which would be quite inefficient. Your vendor libraries, the third-party libraries, would be loaded multiple times. as well as your custom components or other JavaScript fragments, then you will have no implicit possibility to share the data between the apps because the apps are isolated. And the same applies to communication between the widgets. Again, the same reason, apps are isolated. And the other thing that would be quite annoying would be the code duplicities in your code base, components, and even app configuration. So if I would summarize it, I would say that it would take a lot of extra effort for you to create an efficient development stack to achieve the goal to have multiple React applications on Liferay. So how can we proceed to make it easier? Obvious answer, React Union could be the solution. But what's React Union? As I said, it's a solution that scans through your page, through your current page, and identify the individual React applications, which we call React widgets, and I will be referring them as such from now on. And it combines these widgets into a single React application. Thus, it creates the single virtual DOM, which is exactly what we need to address most of the major issues that we can encounter. And so this single virtual DOM gives us a possibility to share the application state. You can share, for example, Redux if you like Redux. Or you can share React context, which could be handy for passing initial data or theming, localization, whatever. Other way how React Union can help is quite seamless and easy integration into Liferay. Well, actually, the React Union project itself is not Liferay dependent, so you can use it with any other CMS you like, or even not CMS. You can just use it for a standard web application creation. But the integration into Liferay is really only, I would say, 3 lines of code in the JavaScript. Then you, of course, have to deploy the solution somehow. But again, there are some tools how to do that. So there is no problem. And the integration gives you also the possibility to pass initial data that are from Liferay server. So you can have portlet configuration, for example, which I will show later. And from this configuration, you can pass the data into the React. And we can also help with, or the React Union can help with the Webpack configuration, because we provide Webpack, the scripts and Webpack configuration for React Union. So you don't have to take care about that. And it has some cool features that everyone knows probably, like hot module reloading or proxy settings. And it enables you to develop the applications in 2 modes. First is like local development without any Liferay instance running. You are just using the dev server, the Webpack dev server. And the other one is also local development, but you are developing against some running Liferay instance. For example, it could be your local Liferay instance, or it could be a testing environment, or even production. And you can develop against the production without any worries to make some changes, because all changes are local in your browser. So let's have a look at the architecture, or high-level point of view, how it works. So the essential part is the Union component, which is really the root component of the whole React application. And it combines your custom React widgets that you have created. The widgets are classical React applications. There is no difference from standard React development. And on the Liferay side, you have to define the HTML tag in which you want your application to be rendered. Again, that's a standard thing. And then you have to provide, along with this HTML tag, you have to provide a script tag in which you define some metadata about the widget. And you can also pass an initial data. That's the yellow thing inside the script tag. It will be visible more clearly later. So I'm sorry that it's so small. So you define several of these HTML tags with the script tags. We call this script tag a widget descriptor because it describes the widget somehow. And then you have to provide another script tag by which you load the union component, by which you load the main bundle of your React application. And so we are using the Liferay AMD loader for that. And by this script tag, you load the union component, which gets initialized. And when it's initialized, it scans through your current page, and it identifies the widget descriptors. It loads them. And according to what widget descriptor it finds, it initializes those widgets that, that the union component knows of. And we are also using the dynamic imports. So the code of the widgets themselves, the JavaScript code, is loaded on demand. It's not in the browser from the beginning. The whole solution is built by Webpack, as I have mentioned, and it results in several JavaScript bundles, separating the main and vendor bundle from the chunks that are for your widgets. So now what's provided in the project for the developers? So it's the union component. Then it's it's some utility functions and higher order components that we use. The React Union scripts that are distributed as a separate NPM module. And then a set of examples, which is good for start. The union component, as I said, is the root component. And as you can see, it has one mandatory property called roots. And roots is an array of objects of the root components of your widgets, along with the path on which the widget is rendered. The path must match what's stated in the widget descriptor. I will show it later again. And this union component must be rendered somewhere, because it's a React component. And we are using just render function for that. It's very similar to React DOM render function, but it differs only that it creates dynamically the HTML tag in which it must be rendered, so you don't have to take care of that. You don't have to worry about that. And although I say the union component is the root component, it doesn't mean that you can't decorate it by store provider or whatever. With widget context is one of our higher order components. On the top, you can see the widget descriptor where I pass some initial data in a JSON. And these initial data are propagated into the root component of your widget by default, but they are not propagated anywhere further. So if you want them in the nested components of your widget root component, then you have to use this higher order component. And they are available as props, of course. You can also pass a common data because we have another script tag which we call common data descriptor. It's very similar to the widget descriptor, but the purpose is to provide some common data for all widgets on one place. Then the React Union scripts, as I said, they contain pre-configured Webpack. So we have scripts for running, building, testing, whatever. The important thing is that there are extension points by which you can adjust the configuration as you need. You can completely modify whatever you want. Then we have the dev server, proxy settings, build optimization, test setup, and it supports the Yarn workspaces, which is a monorepository structure. Maybe you have heard of it. Have you ever heard of it? Yes, no? Not clear answer from you, but never mind. So it's our preferred project structure. Yeah. The examples. We have currently 3 examples. The basic one is really the dummiest ever usage of React Union. Then a monorepository, which reflects the Yarn workspaces structure, and Liferay example, which contains 2 portlets, which we use for placing the widgets on a page, placement of the widgets on a page, and Liferay AMD loader, which we use for deployment of the scripts into a Liferay environment. And yeah, as I wanted to mention that the basic example and the monorepository example are not dependent on Liferay anyhow. It's just the last one. We have a documentation page, which is quite clear, I think. You can find a lot of information about the project and about the examples. And now let's see a short demo application. Here I have the Liferay instance. It's running locally in a Docker. I will just log in. I have already all modules that I need deployed in the container. So I will just add 2 widgets. They are called control widget and emotion widget. These widgets are in fact these portlets are in fact the React widgets. The first one has 2 buttons. It changes in its state that is stored in Redux store. It also has a configuration page where I can set some text stations. The text stations are then propagated as initial data into the React, into the widget itself. And then I have the emotion portlet, which shows just an emotion based on the property that I passed to the widget. But right now, I don't pass any property. What I want to do is to make the emotion portlet, to connect the emotion portlet, the emotion widget, to the state of the control portlet, so that I can control by clicking those 2 buttons, that I can control the emotion of the emotion widget. I will show you, first I will show you a code base. Is it big enough, the font? Yeah, okay. So here is the code base of the example. You can see the example on GitHub later on. Because it resembles the monorepository project structure, so I have the packages folder here, which contains the React code, the JavaScript code. Then I have a Liferay package, which contains the OSGI modules, the OSGI bundles for Liferay. As I said, that there is the AMD loader, which loads all compiled JavaScript, and then the control portlet and an emotion portlet. The control portlet contains the configuration Java classes and this stuff, but it also contains the all the important stuff for the widget, which is these. So it's the require of the main bundle, of the main JavaScript bundle, and then the div tag for the widget and the widget descriptor. And here I pass the initial data. The emotion portlet is basically the same. It just doesn't have the configuration page. So let's move to the React part. Here I have 5 packages, 5 folders. Each folder is, well, actually not each folder, but each folder is a separate node module. So if you would deploy it, you would have 5 modules. The app demo is the main application with the Union component. The component is here. It's just decorated by the store provider. So I have a Redux here, which I initialize over there. I'm using the shared extensible store module, which is our customized Redux that is able to dynamically inject reducers and dynamically run sagas from your widgets, and we have recently added a support for Redux observables. So, but this support is not available on npm yet. That's why I have it here locally as a package of the monorepository. But it will be provided soon on our GitHub as well. And yeah, this union component gets the roots. Here are the roots. They are the root components of my widgets. And that's basically all that's important in the app demo. Maybe one more note, because we have time. Here are the 3 lines of code that are necessary for running the solution, the project on Liferay. Yeah, it's because of Senna.js. And let's move to the widgets themselves. The control widget is very simple. Apart from the Redux part, which is standard, there is I don't think I have to show it. Just some action creators reducer. The root component, some HTML markup, some properties that I get, and connection to the Redux store. We are using standard connect function, higher order component, and our custom with Redux higher order component, which is used for the dynamic injection of the reducers. And we use the same higher order function for dynamic injection of the epics. But I don't have any epics here because I don't need to call, I don't need them in this example. The emotion widget is quite similar. It has only one root component with the image. Here I have inline styles, local CSS styles, but we usually use Liferay theme for styling of the React. So usually we don't have the styles here. And yeah, so I have already launched the React application in proxy mode. So here I can just change the port. And right now I'm running in the dev server in proxy mode, so I'm proxying my local Liferay. And because I have started the application, I can do some code modifications. I'm sorry that I'm not showing really live coding, but it could take time, which we don't have in this short presentation. And now when I save it, it's already propagated here, and you can see that the emotion is changing. And I can also add the control portlet on another page. I already done that, so I have another instance here. And so when I press the buttons here, the emotion portlet is changing also, because it's connected to the state. So yeah, that's the demo. And maybe let's move back to the presentation. Just a few more slides. What's coming? As I told you, we are planning to publish Redux Extensible Store, like version 2.0, with the support for Redux observables. Then we plan to create some generators that will simplify the creation of widgets and the app itself. And we want to add more examples, like, for example, the one for Redux. And here are some references. You can see the project on GitHub, NPM, and the documentation page. And the demo is available on my GitHub. And yeah, now we have some time. So if you have any questions, because in this short time, there are a lot of things that can be discussed. So if you have any questions, it's good time now, or you can catch me later if you want. It's up to you.
Thank you, Jakub. Questions? Come on. Yeah. No. We have a question. I always wanted to throw this thing at people, but I don't dare. Kind of dangerous.
Hi. It looks very cool. Thank you. Does this project have a relation with the npm build tools from Liferay itself?
No, actually, there is no relation.
Mm-hmm. And especially the Liferay bundler.
Yeah. No, we don't use it. To be honest, I first heard of it yesterday from you. It was a good presentation. Thank you. So we haven't used it, and as I told you, the solution is you can use it for any other CMS or any other platform that you are using, even PHP. So that's why we didn't want to tie it. So to couple it with Liferay stuff. But yeah, you can try it.
Okay, thank you.
Oh man, this is gonna be hard. Good catch.
Thanks. Jakub, I asked about the customization. How could be the extensible or the customized with some functionalities, which is in a Webpack or in the part?
How it can be customized?
Yeah.
There is one configuration file. It's called Union config. And basically, you can override any part of the Webpack configuration you need. So you can see the Webpack configuration on the GitHub, and you can just override it. It's quite simple.
Other question? Really sure? Then thank you, Jakub.
Okay.